Hello, welcome back. If you were here earlier, and thank you for having patience with us with our technical difficulties. They say it was our early access of our. Thank you for helping us beta test our earlier stream. Welcome here with me today, our lead designer, Adam Pyle.
Hello.
We will talk about the state of the game, and then we'll get into all the questions that we've gathered since the last one. So we actually have a lot to talk about. We have early access that has shipped. We had Quakecon, and for you, we have a Quake World Championship recap video that we'll play now. So enjoy.
2017. We were all stoked. I mean, all of us have played Quake for ages.
Compared to other Quakecons, this is going to be the best I've ever been to.
This is a life-changing tournament.
Expect major upsets. Expect tense matches.
We really want it, and we will practice hard to become first at this tournament. At the same time, it's a competition where you have the best players in the world, and it's a very tough one.
All I want right now is to get on stage and show our game. I mean, I think that's the end of the day, what we're all here for.
I mean, that's the goal. Like, we're here to try to win.
I'm gonna destroy everyone.
Won some Quakecon championships before, but this one is definitely the biggest. There's always been this back and forth between American teams and European teams, and championships have kind of gone back and forth. That's always kind of on the line.
And $1 million on the line, team sacrifice and duel.
The experience that I have gives me an edge.
Experienced players doesn't bother me at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the grand finals of the Quake World Champions. It's Vu versus Claus.
Claus has to be careful. 80 health, and he's on his last champion. Final execution needs to be improved. Ooh, there it is. Problematic because he can't outrun the Sorlak. As the spit will miss. Oh no, in fact he can. And there it is. Claus has done it.
It's a very important matchup. We are here to do our best, so we're just gonna play our game.
Prepare for the tough games because we are not gonna lose.
There we go. 2Z have lost their first map to such a bloodbath, back and forth. 2-1 situation for 2Z. And it's going to be 100% 2Z are the Quake Grand Champions.
We still cannot realize.
Yeah, we can't feel it.
I'll be back next year and I'll defend my title.
Man, I love that video. The Quake World Championships was very exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Quakecon was great. Congrats again to Team 2Z and to Claus. It was really exciting. ESL put on a wonderful production, really good games. It was really great this year.
So, so Claus, I mean, what do you think of this? I mean, the new generation, the younger generation, beating the older generation. I thought the old guys were gonna pull it off.
I wasn't sure who was going to win. It wasn't a complete surprise to me that Claus did so well. I think that it was kind of a long time coming, even though he's really young. He's made it out to a couple of Quakecons before, and I was kind of expecting a couple years ago for him to do a little bit better and kind of break into that scene. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to see that he did so now. Really wonderful performances. There's a lot of new talent and new blood that is doing really well. That was kind of obvious with Claus, but also with like Razy. Mm-hmm. Really good gameplay from these new upcomers. It's impressive.
So boy, I mean that's he made it all the way to the final match. Did not even qualify originally.
Yeah. So he originally didn't make it in the original qualifiers. We had two contestants that couldn't get visas, so we had a runner-up tournament, and he made it through. So did Tox, and they both did really well in the tournament. Yeah, and Vu made it all the way to second place. So amazing.
So 2Z, I mean, would you? Yeah. I remember I said I had my money on these North American teams, but they got beat. So I mean,
it was a really bad bet. I mean, we had a lot of good North American teams, but the talent in Europe was really strong, really hot competition this year. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even clear who was going to win. There were several teams there that were doing really well, that were looking impressive.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, if you enjoyed the Quake World Championship action, we have two big tournaments that are coming up in the near future. Next month in October, we're going to be at DreamHack in Denver, which is very cool. And then following that, the first week in December, we will be at the big DreamHack in Sweden. So we'll be posting information on how to qualify, where we're pulling people in for that on our Quake.com site shortly. but look forward to a lot more Quake action as well. So Quakecon, you know how I love Quakecon. It was a huge success this year. We were at the new place, the Gaylord. There were a lot of people, a lot of fans that were not able to actually secure BYOC seats this year. So I'm going on record right now telling everyone that next year our BYOC will be even bigger. So what's your favorite part about Quakecon?
Oh gosh, I've always loved the tournaments, but this year the best part was the integration of it into the entire event. Because now whether you're in the BYOC or the event hall, like everything was together, and it was just amazing to have that kind of vibe and experience of just being able to look up and see the big screens, the huge stage, and everybody being together. So it's kind of the whole community coming together.
Yeah, it really had a good vibe because you can move from the BYOC to the exhibit area, right in the huge stage, and we had the coolest stage. The Quake World Championship stage was awesome. Do you ever believe that we'd have a stage that awesome at Quakecon?
Well, no, honestly, not at a Quakecon. I mean, I've always wanted us to get there, and I think that we can go bigger. But Quakecon's always been a smaller event in terms of like esports. As far as like size, physical size. Yeah. So it was really impressive that we were able to fit that into our convention space.
Yes, yes. So again, if you were not able to make it this year, we'll be back next year. Quakecon is definitely a destination that you should put on your calendar. So early access, as everyone knows. We entered early access for Quake Champions during Quakecon. The response has been great. Thank you all that have joined us. Thank you for those from Steam that have jumped into the action through purchasing the Champions Pack. So, one thing that I just kind of want to clear up, because we've seen in the forums that there's some confusion on, why am I buying the Champions Pack? So in Quake Champions, if you have the Champion Pack, all the champions now that we have now and all the future champions are available to you. So you won't have to play for favor and unlock them. You don't have to worry about securing champions and drops. You will have them all for you. So if if you're not really into the free-to-play mechanic of playing for favor and then unlocking champions, jump into the Champion Pack. It's the cheapest now that it'll ever be. And you can get into the action really before anyone else. So what else is, actually, there are a couple other things that you get if you join early access now, right?
Right. So there's custom game, and then we have the special things like the Gladiator skin for Ranger. So if you get that now, then you get that skin, that costume.
Yes, which is only available in early access.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, once we move out of early access, it's gone. So it's just kind of those people that were helping out at the beginning, as we're going through development that, get that reward.
Yes. You know what I'm also really think is cool? The AMD Ruby skin.
Yes.
Yes, the AMD, which Claus used.
Yeah.
Yes, which was pretty awesome.
He used the AMD skin and the Quakecon lightning gun. It was really nice.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes, the Quakecon lightning gun. If you did not join us during Quakecon, you do not have access to a very cool Quakecon lightning gun. So after Quakecon, we did a couple of updates. Can you talk us through some of the things that we updated the game with?
A bit, but right now we're just been focusing on really getting a lot of like back-end fixes and kind of things tightened up, and trying to get the gameplay experience just better and more solid.
Yeah. So right after QuakeCon, we did some back-end updates, and then we're rolling out an update really next week.
Yeah, it should be next week.
Yes. 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 If it passes QA, it should be next week. But where we'll have we'll have a number of bug fixes. We'll have some performance updates. For those of you that play Duel and also look for lore drops, we will not be dropping lore scrolls in Duel, because the problem we found out is that people would join a Duel game, get their lore scroll, and then quit. Yeah. And the other guy was like, "What happened to him?" So we fixed that. Doom's challenge is fixed.
Yeah, the Thak rune, people haven't been able to complete it, so that's taken care of.
Yes.
You'll be able to work on that rune challenge. We've made some changes to the loot box openings because we noticed from very early on that we had like too many duplicates, and so we've made some changes to address that.
Yes, yes. So let me talk about kind of like the road ahead, and we'll talk about our thinking on updates and improvements to the game we'll touch on some content, but really, I want to talk about kind of like how we develop the game. So, just to help people get a kind of better understanding of this process. When we designed Quake Champions and we architected the network code, and we'll talk about network code a bit, we designed it and programmed it for every system that we possibly could. But a game that is as complex as Quake Champions, we have servers all over the world, we have different ISPs, we have millions of different computer configurations. We do run into these issues that we had no idea that we were going to have problems with. And then we try to identify what those are. We try to find a solution to what those are, and then we try to test them. Which is one of the reasons why we went into an early beta at first, then we moved into early access. But we are still, working on improving the game, because as a multiplayer game, your connection and your experience online really is the entire game. So at any point, if you feel that you're rubber banding or the performance drops or your ping fluctuates, for you, it's like this is the whole game for me. We are actively trying to identify those issues. We're trying to figure out what those solutions are, and then we're going to try to test them. So I know that people have sent us comments that said, fix the netcode. Yes, we know that. We are actively working on it. And, throughout early access, and even probably after the game goes out of early access, we'll continually make improvements. And some will be small, some will be large, but things will get better over time. There isn't just one big fix that we can do and then make everything great. We need to, again, like I said, identify the problem, come up with a solution, then test it, then put it out in the real world. And that, and those are some of the steps that we need to go through.
Yeah.
I
mean, right now we do have some of the larger kind of improvements to our outband, compression to make the game smoother. Those are about a week to 2 weeks away internally for us to start testing them, and we're hoping to roll those out into like an October update. And so we should have pretty dramatic improvements then, and we'll see how it goes. But it's going to be a long process of continually making improvements as we go.
Yeah, one thing that is probably worth mentioning is that a lot of comments online are about netcode, which becomes this kind of huge bucket. Because, again, like I said, it's a multiplayer game, so anytime your experience suffers, it's like netcode. But, there's these isolated events and isolated issues that kind of get lumped together. So, we're trying to break down what the problems are, we're trying to find solutions, and then test them. So we have some topics that we want to kind of cover. Do you want to talk about why sometimes, Adam, that people have complained that the longer you play the game, the slower it gets?
Yeah, that is one of the more frustrating things right now that we're aware of. That as you play, once it gets to like the 5th or 6th game, you feel like it's getting sluggish, and you kind of need a restart. And we've addressed some of these issues in previous updates where we've had changelog notes talking about memory leaks being fixed. We will continue to be doing that. There's just multiple things we need to optimize over time. And then, once we kind of get through here with early access, we're in a better spot where, a lot of those optimizations are in place and we don't have that problem anymore. But right now we are improving memory management and working towards addressing all of those.
Yes, and memory management is anything from, assets loading in, characters that enter the game and then leave the game. You have levels, and video games are so complex that you just get fragments of memory here or there, and it just takes time to find those and clean them up. So let me talk a little bit about client and authoritative. Hold on, let me start over because this is complicated. Let me talk about some of the way that the client, which is kind of the version that you play on your computer, and the server kind of communicate. So in a multiplayer game, especially when you have latency and ping, as a game developer, we try to put lots of things on the client to make the experience smooth, and then we have the server trust the client. But a lot of times you run into cheating when that happens. So if you let the client, the person's machine at home make decisions for the game, that can be easily hacked.
Yeah.
So what we do is we try to put important decisions on the server side, so that the server makes the decision about who gets hit, where you move, those types of things, because it's much more difficult to hack the game and cheat when the important decisions are made on the server side. As we've gone through production and we've gone through testing, we have actively worked to push things from the client side, where the client was making the decisions, to the server side, which has helped cheating a lot. We haven't had a huge problem with cheating, which is nice. But we've run across some issues. We had the rockets were an issue, which we're working on fixing. We can talk some about rubber banding, but as we make improvements to that client-server authority, for lack of a better word, those will come online, and hopefully the experience will be better. And again, it'll be more difficult to cheat as well. Yes, yes. So you want to talk about static meshes, because that's and the animation with that? That's been kind of a hot topic as well.
Yeah, and that's something that we haven't talked much about, and some people don't really understand what we're doing. But previously, the way that the game worked with the hit detection was that what you saw on your screen was a model was animated and moving around, and you could, in general, you could basically shoot where the model was. So you could shoot like even under arms, under legs, and until we started to kind of alter the hitbox area. And then on the server, it had to calculate all those animations. So server side, it was running the same type of animation code. It's pretty CPU intensive, so that it could have a synchronization between the server and the client of what animation state they were in, so you know exactly what shape the outline was. We found that really it's kind of probably too CPU intensive, and so we wanted to move away from it. Also, it's a little bit less forgiving in the sense that if it ever gets a little bit off, then you kind of get a desync between where the server thinks the enemy is located or what position they're in versus what the client sees. So one thing we're moving towards is a static kind of animation state meshes, and what these are hitbox meshes that represent kind of all of the hit area that the character could be in while they're in that animation state. And so different animation states would be like, that they're strafing left or strafing right, or that they're running or crouching. And the one good way to kind of visualize it would be if you were to put like a blanket or sheet over the character, draping it over them, where it kind of, encompasses everything that they could be, but it doesn't like leave gaping holes between the legs and under the arms. So it kind of creates this mesh that you can hit.
Yes.
So it's still a little bit more reliable than like a cylinder, because a cylinder, if you just have a cylinder going through them, you can kind of like, hit their outer regions, like their hands or the legs are sticking out. So this would still register those as hits. But that's kind of what we're moving towards. And as time will go by, we'll be including kind of more animation states to kind of make that more accurate.
Yes, yes. Which comes to the rocket hitboxes. I mean, the rocket hits and the railguns. So we made the hitbox changes that I talked about in the last stream. So those are in. We're rolling through more of those fixes, but we also remember that, like I said, with the client and the server communicating, besides the hitboxes on the character, we also changed the decision making on when rockets were fired, when they hit, where you were. So those things, we've had a big improvement. We should see actually more improvement next month.
Yeah, because the next update will resolve most of the issues in the sense that it will also take the explosion of the rockets from client to server side, which is one of the big reasons why we were running into that zero damage or no damage rockets. We wanted to talk about this last time.
Yeah.
We got together and we kind of got caught up in another question, didn't really complete it. So what was essentially happening with rockets was that, like I said, there was like a hitbox area for just the rockets in the live version at the time. And then there was a hitbox for the other weapons. And because we're moving from the animation states to the static meshes, there would be like a a little bit of a desync between the state that the client saw the character in and then in the server. And so what would happen is the rocket would collide with the mesh that was for the other weapons, and on the client side would predict a hit and would explode. When in actuality that rocket did miss. It went just past them, and the server would have had them explode behind.
Yes.
And you actually would see that in third person. So if there was another client in the game that's watching a fight, a player might get a zero-hit, no damage rocket, but that rocket, to the view of the other players, would have gone past and hit a wall and exploded. So we're addressing that. The next update will kind of correct the prediction on explosions.
Yes, which also comes into the railgun. People have assumed that the railgun misses or hits were the same problem as the rocket launchers, but that's actually not quite right.
Yeah, that's a way different issue.
Yes, that is basically, so on the railgun, if you fire and then you move basically within the same frame, the trail will draw where you moved.
It draws late.
It draws late, yes.
So
yes.
If you were like to take a video or like you take like a Twitch clip,
yes,
and you go back and you're trying to see why a rail shot didn't hit, if you're looking at the visual of that trail, that's not going to be reliable at this point.
Yes.
Because it's drawing late, so it's drawing after the move. So that will be fixed in the next update as well. Not the one next week, but the bigger one we're hitting for October.
Yes.
And so that will basically be more responsive. It'll make the trail draw immediately once you do the fire, and then if you move away, you're moving away from the trail rather than moving and then having the trail draw.
Yes. But we still need to actually test that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Yes. Like I said, identify the problem, figure out a solution, and then test it. So we've identified the solution. We just need to test it. But we are aiming to have that wrapped up in the bigger update next month. So you want to talk about rubber banding? I hear this all the time. Rubber banding.
Yeah. Rubber banding is a symptom that probably is a few different issues, but one of the pieces of it is usually when there's a high rate of data from your upload. So if you're saturating your upload bandwidth, and that can occur from a couple different things right now. We do know that, for instance, we're pushing packets like every client frame. And so one change we're going to make is reduce the number of packets or have like a max packets. Traditionally in Quake we would send them every 63 or 120 frames. Right now, if you're doing a whole bunch of frames, if you have like a really nice system and you're doing over 144, you're sending packets every time. That can saturate your bandwidth. If you're saturating your bandwidth, then it's going to start dropping packets on the server, and that's what's caused the rubber banding. So that's one of the big issues. Another good example of a thing that we're going to do to resolve that is basically start limiting the amount of data that we're pushing out, not just how often, but the data that we go out, less data, and also compressing it, doing like delta compression, do things that ensure that we send as little data as necessary to get the information to the server. Yes.
So those are some of the bigger kind of network issues, I guess, for lack of a better word, that we've had that we're trying to address. Again, report the bugs in. Try to be as detailed as possible about everything from your configuration, your up bandwidth speed, where you're playing from, where you're connected into. All those things definitely help us, because like I said, it's a very complex game, and we have data servers all over the world. We have people connecting from all different ISPs, and just identifying the problem, coming up with a solution, and then testing it is really the important things. So let's get to some questions. Yeah. First I have to help my buddies that sent me stuff on my Instagram here. Real quickly, Vigilante BT, he said, will color shaders be purchased with favor? Adam?
Probably not.
No. For us, the reason is we think that in the loot box it really makes a good case for us.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things there. I think last time in our written AMA we talked about the possibility of maybe doing premium shaders that we either do for favor or platinum or whatever we do. I guess those would probably be favor. But the kind of standard ones that we have right now, I think that it's a really nice kind of long chase that it always gives something to earn. Whereas if if there's just a couple that you buy up immediately, then it may just create a lot of content you're not that interested in. So I like that. That's something there for the loot boxes.
Yeah. Yes. All right. My good buddy Decoder S3 wants to know about CTF update, Vulcan progress, and ranked.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned a couple times, CTF is definitely very important to us. It's definitely on our roadmap. It's not coming immediately, but it's definitely on a roadmap. Vulcan we are working with AMD on the Vulcan. They've been really great working with us because there's kind of different companies involved. We're just, it's working, and we just need to make sure that it's the best possible version that we can before we go out with it. And then ranked, ranked will come in early access.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon, right?
Yeah, it's pretty soon.
Yes. We're working on it. Yes. How about this? Chat in menu without invite in the game. Direct messages.
I assume that's direct message.
Yes.
Yeah, I know direct messages on our backlog. It's in our list. That's just something we're doing during our early access. I don't know of an exact ETA on it, but that we have chat improvements that are definitely coming.
Hashtag Pastel. Are you going to let us choose left, center, right weapon models or skins? Or will skins decide this? If skins, why?
Yeah, skins will decide it. I don't know if we'll ever get to any left-handed ones because of UI space. Like we need to dedicate certain screen space without the guns interfering. We do like having these classic weapons available that have the center. There's a lot of people that really enjoy that, and that's worked out well. But I think that we're going to limit it to which weapons you're purchasing. That way we have, like the classic ones can always be centered the way they were, and then the other guns we can put on the right.
If for me, I have a hard time moving with the Quake 1 rocket launcher. I have a hard time playing with it in the middle. It takes a while to get used to. It really does. Can you switch back and forth?
Oh, I don't know about switching back and forth, but when they're in the center, for whatever reason, a lot of people find it easier to aim.
Really?
Just mentally, because it's just this like straight line that you're aiming at people.
Interesting. I noticed there are a number of pro players in the Quake World Championships who were playing with that.
Yeah, but a lot of them, want to have like all the weapons. Like they want to get like all Quake 1 weapons so they can have them all centered, so they're not kind of going back and forth.
That's funny. Offline mode, I'll talk about at the end. London server. When will you be out of early access? So we will be out of early access when we feel that we're ready. Again, we're committed to ensuring that the game is the best possible experience that we can make. Like I said, it's very complex. We have people playing all over the world. And we want to take this opportunity with the help of people watching and the people in early access to ensure that when we move out that it is there for everyone, which kind of leads into another question that I've received about making the game more friendly to casual players. We understand that most people that are watching this stream love Quake, and I love Quake, and I always believe once you fall in love with the Quake gameplay, you love it forever. But there are some things that we are going to focus on during early access to make it at least fun if you don't have to win. Like in Quake, if you win, it's the greatest thing ever. If you don't win, it's like, well, I didn't win. We're not going to change the gameplay, but we're going to focus on things that encourage people to continue to play.
Yeah, I think it's really about that was always the struggle, that we didn't want to really change what Quake was to make it casualized. Instead, we just need to have the game have fun experiences, even if you're not as competitive or that into that scene. So really just want to bring a lot of new things to do in the game, new modes, like for instance, like the runes and lore, like they added a lot of things that you could be interested about. You can kind of like go, okay, now I want to try these different characters of these different game modes and pursue these challenges. And we want to keep that up, I guess.
Yes. And so for offline mode and our servers around the country, I had a question about Chilean servers, South African servers, London servers.
Yeah, North Africa, and there's a lot of places.
Yes. So actually London, Brandon is giving me some notes here. We're actually pinging 15 milliseconds. Players in London are pinging 15 milliseconds to the server.
Yeah, to the Dublin one, I think that's nearby.
Yes.
So the London server was I understand like a temporary test that they were doing. We always can bring back locations, or in the future we'll look at where we need to have servers. But at least right now we know that the people in the London area still have a sub 20 option.
Yes.
With Dublin.
Yes, yes, and for other parts of the world, it really comes down to, you know, as we move through early access, and we look at our fan base, and we look at the people that are playing, and then we look at their connections, we can spin up, which is one of the great things about Quake Champions, we can spin up servers globally. We can work with different cloud providers that may or may not be in your particular country, but we are always, we have a guy, and his only job is to look at where people are playing, how they're connecting, and then spinning up servers for you. So just because there's not a server in Chile or South Africa or, you know, in Dubai right now, you know, that doesn't mean there never will be. We just have to look at the players and how they're connecting them. So we move to some of the questions that that people have sent in. You can go first.
Okay. Will you implement a new announcer? So we have some plans for announcers, and we'd like to introduce the idea of like announcer packs. But right now in early access is not the time for it, primarily because we're going to be developing a lot of stuff through early access. So if we work on like new game modes, it's very easy to find that from
trust me.
Our experience in the past, it's very easy to find out that you need to add new announcer lines. So if we add CTF, we add Clan Arena like we've talked about recently, and we find that we really need to have lines that weren't recorded previously, then we want to make that addition freely.
Yes.
And if we have like announcers that we record right now and make available, then we're going to have to constantly go back and re-record those announcer sets, and that's costly and difficult. And so the best thing right now is just to continue developing the game, and then basically once things are more in place,
yes,
then we'll record a whole bunch of announcers and create fun packs for people.
Yes. So No Name asks, are you going to limit other players' ability to use CVARs like Draw, Gun Zero? Yes. Yes, that is rolling in the October update.
It is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So again, we want to make we want to make as level a playing field as possible, and we will definitely fix that.
Yep. Real quick, just to note, a lot of the command line parameters that people pass in right now, some of them are good options, and some of them are kind of they could be kind of exploitative if not everyone has access to it. So our goal really is to find as many of the features that we like and want to keep in the game, and then make them available in the settings menu for everybody. So that's our goal. So a lot of stuff we'll start making their way into the settings menu, and the stuff that we don't want in the game, we'll make sure that's locked out.
The next one's definitely yours.
It is? Okay.
Yes.
So why does the bonus health and armor degrade? So when you pick up a heavy armor, you pick up mega health, and you have the overmax that decays.
Again, for big characters and small characters.
Yeah. So they're asking, why is it degrade slower for tanky characters and faster for light characters? There's kind of a community sentiment like, shouldn't it be the opposite, the other way around? Because the lights have less armor, so they need more. So why does it vanish faster? We're always willing to balance and alter those settings. Where that really came from and why it still exists today is that initially and still now, the light characters have traditionally been more successful, or have been just kind of the really kind of viable and difficult characters because they're hard to hit, they're fast, and so we notice a lot of people that are doing well with Nyx and Anarchy and Slash, and so basically if they're super fast and hard to hit, and they retain more armor, then they would just be that much better and kind of become overpowered. So right now it actually helps keep them in check, as we only really have like one heavy right now that's kind of being really successful, and that's Sorlag. And so in the future if we need to address it, that's what we'll do, but that's why it's there.
Yes. All right, so Voodoo GTV, can we have the option to turn down the effects? The bloom effect on the lightning gun is sometimes too bright to see the enemy. So we're not going to customize that, but we're going to make some adjustments. We've had a number of folks that have given us feedback, especially the pro players. So there was a lightning gun, and what was the other one?
Well, there are two lightning guns that are the biggest issues right now. There's the Quakecon lightning gun, which has probably a little bit too much bloom, especially on certain maps. And so, we'll just tweak that. We'll tone that down. Some people have reported the same on the Quake 1 lightning gun, the Thunderbolt. And the only other one that's really kind of questionable right now is the Constructor, the Quake 4 nail gun. I know that the blue flare on it is pretty heavy. It's a nice effect though, so we'll probably keep it but just tone it down.
Yeah. So we'll make those adjustments. And again, we're always looking at how these weapons affect gameplay. and when we add them in, we may discover this weapon looks great and it looks great in this map, and then we may discover this other map that looks not so great. So yeah, we'll find those and then we can fix them. Prankster 37, are you going to charge for new maps and modes in the future? No. Yes, we feel that in these types of games, if we had a situation where you had to buy certain maps, it splits the community. And you have people playing over here and you have people playing over there. We want everyone to play together. That's why if you have the champion pack now, you'll still be able to play with the people who never buy that. The Bethesda.net folks are playing with the Steam folks. We want everyone to play the same game together because we want that player pool to be as big as possible.
Never divide people. That's
yes.
Big no.
Steam cards.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Steam cards. People are asking about, are we going to do Steam trading cards? We don't have them yet, but that seems like something we'll absolutely do. We just need to get on it sometime. I had a really good time experience, getting Steam trading cards made for Quake Live.
Those are cool.
Yeah, so I'm all for it.
Yes, yeah, we're big Steam trading card fans. Phoenix, will you tweak the minimum splash damage of rockets or increase splash damage of the radius? So Adam and I, maybe. He does this to me all the time.
No, yeah, it's definitely not a positive thing. I mean, I think that there's a lot of tweaks that we're going to be we're going.
Yeah, we're going. So we're leaving the country tomorrow, and we've looked at the feedback from the Quake World Championships. We are mapping out what we can adjust and what we can tweak moving forward, and there are definitely different opinions even amongst the staff here. And we're just going to sit in the room and hash it out with the guys at Saber, Adam. We have John Hill has a lot of feedback from our pro players.
There's a lot we learned from the tournaments, both from spectating from players. There was a lot of things we picked up on just during the regionals and the qualifiers that we didn't want to make changes for yet. So we have all of those kind of balance changes that we've been holding on to for a little bit. We need to sort it out, decide what all we want to pursue, how quickly you want to do it, because some things we might want to slowly change, make sure we don't go too far or too fast.
Yeah. Do you want to answer the next one and talk about some of our bigger strategy with that? From Krusty86.
Yeah. So Krusty86, can you make the reward medals award XP a little slower? Will you let us mouse over the medals we had earned and the post-match screen with some of the medals that are not in the profile tab? Yeah, okay, so right now we are fully aware that there's a lot of UI elements, especially medals and runes, where you may not know what they are and you can't mouse over them currently to learn that information. For those that have been in the CBTs early enough, you remember that we used to not have any of those mouse overs, and now you can go to your profile page, and on those, the top runes, you can now hover those, and there's tooltips for them. We're going to continue to do that throughout the game to kind of improve the feedback so the players know what we're talking about when we reference a medal and reward.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of those things that I mentioned before, where we look at the road ahead and what we need to do to the game, especially for people who aren't the hardcore Quake fans, is more information, educating players on what they need to do, the objectives, much clearer objectives, so you feel that, yeah, I may not be able to win this match, but I can work on these things and earn some favor, and I can be rewarded. So that's definitely very important for us. This one's definitely you, Adam. It's about Clutch and his passives.
So Boom, they have provided a rough idea of the roadmap for champions. No,
Sorry, we're at the top.
We're at the top. Oh, okay.
The red Belmont 456.
Will you buff Clutch? His passive has bad synergy. He's a gargantuan hitbox, which isn't helped by this now.
Nerf stack
on top of his utterly useless secondary active, which can accidentally be triggered. So there's a lot there, but so Clutch, there's a that's going back to us discussing a lot of the champion balances that we want to release for the upcoming updates. There are a lot of ideas there that we've been kicking around, some that we have in testing, some that we don't yet. But there's definitely going to be changes to Clutch, specifically for his passives. We're pretty happy now with the dodge. I know there's a lot of feedback about whether we allow the dodge and the shield at the same time. But right now we're focused on making him a really kind of successful, viable character that people like to play. The secondary active with the mining drill. It hasn't been used a lot, hasn't been that successful. We're aware that some people are like accidentally triggering it, which is a problem we can address. We might make some buffs or improvements to the drill if we want to keep them, or we might just kind of reevaluate what we're doing with them.
So speaking of double clicking,
yeah,
we talked earlier about setting up a
force dodge.
Well, I mean the rate at which you double click.
Yeah, the frequency. So
yes.
One thing we'd like to do is have a game setting that you can tweak to adjust how easily it activates the dodge. That way you have a little bit of control. You don't accidentally trigger it. I know that right now that's a challenge for some people. They have to get used to it. I like right now where it's at as far as like a default. But we definitely want to have that setting to help people.
Yes, yeah, and that's one of the things that. So we have this backlog, and when we find like features, or things that we want to adjust, we put them on a backlog. But and there's a content group in the development team that focuses on those things. But our big focus right now, like I said earlier, is ensuring that the quality of life is as good as possible. We want to make sure that the network issues and any problems that you may be having are fixed first before we get to this backlog. But we're just adding stuff to that backlog, to continually improve the game as we move through early access, and even after early access. All right, here, this is a Quake 1. I will definitely answer this one. Seriously, can we play Quake 1 during the waiting screens? That would actually be cool. I would like that. That'd be fun.
It would, but yeah. I don't think our waiting screens are long enough anymore.
Yes.
I know that we had long wait times and load times before, but right now there's not enough time to play Quake 1. Mini games are always great.
Yes,
if we they are. With a mini game.
They are fun. So yes, if we do add a mini game, we will put that high on the list. Wow, that one's quite aggressive. Dark Chill. Why does Doomslayers Berserk suck so bad? I actually liked Berserk. I think it's actually kind of cool.
Well, it's not the ability that sucks.
It's the melee distance.
It's his like leap strike that he does. A lot of people notice that it's hard to hit the enemy. Sometimes they'll activate it and it will miss the target. Sometimes it won't activate it when we want to. We actually, the same day that we made the build that got released for early access, made some improvements to the targeting of the enemy so that that leap strike would be more effective. Because right now, there's nothing more frustrating than like trying to punch the guy and you're clicking to punch and it's either not working or not lining up. So we're aware of that. So we hope to have some improvements again. That probably will come online in October, but we have more testing to do.
Yeah. I mean, again, anytime we adjust distance, hits, melees, we need to ensure that if we fix it for one champion, that doesn't break for everyone else, which goes back to the identify a problem, come up with a solution, and then test it. But yes, hopefully we'll get that improved a bit in the next update. Noctis, our good friend Noctis, wants more ambient tracks, more music. Yes. We think that's a great idea. We have that planned. We actually have some cool music picked out. I won't mention what it is. But yes, that is definitely a feature that is coming online soon to kind of give a little more customization to.
Yeah, I think we'll do it as like music drops.
Yeah.
And packs or something.
Yeah. It should be cool. All right, next one's yours.
Any plans on changing the gauntlet? This one? 50 damage plus knockback. Anarchy plus gauntlet feels too strong. So we're definitely not going to adjust the damage yet because there's more important things to fix. So right now, and I mean with the gauntlet. So right now the big problem is that to have it where it successfully hits like any character, because the characters are different sizes, that range is very long right now. It's too far, and that's why it's really easy to hit people with the gauntlet. You don't have to get in as close as you used to. For those remember, there was a time where we had some times where the gauntlet was very effective versus the large, heavy champions. We'd go in there, try to get it on Sorlag, and it wouldn't work. So that range got extended. We have in our schedule to address that by basically having these custom ranges so that the gauntlet gets fixed on a per champion basis so that everything is corrected. We want to do that first, and then also make sure that we're have the correct rate of fires and that sort of stuff for like continual hits. And then once that's all fixed, it should be good, and we don't need to adjust the damage. But that'll be the point where we know if we need to.
Okay. Well, let's pull one more from this list, then we'll jump to, because we're watching time here, then we'll jump to our some of the questions on the stream. How about the Scale Bear Bull Rush DPI fix? You know, we talked about that one earlier today.
Yeah.
And that's just a bug.
Yeah, that's just a bug. I mean, you know, basically the Bull Rush, we just need to recode a little bit how we limit the turn rate. So right now, we know there's a lot of players that are kind of, you know, using like DPI switches on their mice to, on the fly, change their sensitivity, allowing them to gain more control at a point where we're supposed to be limiting it. And we can entirely control that differently in our game code such that sensitivity doesn't affect it.
Yes.
So we'll be making those changes. That way we have a kind of a consistent and fair behavior for everybody.
Yes, yes, yes. The Boo Gamer wants to know when ranked play is coming. I mentioned that earlier. It's coming in a few months. But the guys are actually working on it now. It's just all the systems that are involved with that. So do you know all these? Are these all your streaming buddies here?
Not all. We're getting more people now.
So more tutorials from Hannes Flat. Is that how you say that? Please offer more tutorials ASAP. We need more players. Yes, I totally agree. Again, like I said, we will do things to help encourage people to play and to give you a good experience, even if you're not winning. We are working on some advanced movement tutorials, which can help you learn strafe jump, rocket jump, those types of things. So yes, those are actively being worked on. We have a group of people that are focusing on that, and those are coming online. All right, next one for you, buddy.
Okay. Let me skip that. We already addressed that. Are we going to get a patch addressing balance issues, specifically Gauntlet, Sword Like Spit, Lightning Gun? That was from Turbo Mojo CA. So without going into the details of what all will be changing, we are definitely addressing all those things. So for instance, like Sword Like Spit, before going into early access, like during like a regionals period in the summer, we had an issue where you could fire at the same time that you did the spit.
Yes.
And so we had fixed that for Anarchy and Sorlag, and basically for Sorlag, the increase was we went from being able to fire instantly to having a 600 millisecond delay is what it was before you could fire. But her like spit animation lasts about a full second, and so it still kind of felt like you could do it early, and that's what kind of created the community term for like animation canceling for the bug. Not really a bug, it's just a setting. So moving forward, we're going to pad that a little bit more so that she has a little bit more of a penalty while spitting. That'll be the first thing we do to her to kind of help balance it out. And then we've talked about the Gauntlet a little bit. Lightning Gun, you know, I think that right now, in general, we're at a place where the Lightning Gun is very powerful because of recent changes. And so we do want to kind of keep the dynamic of the rocket rail and lightning all being important, but we do want to lean towards a little bit more towards rockets. Just because we don't want it to be all about hit scan.
Yes. So do you want to tell them what that change was that made it more powerful? Because it was kind of it's not just damage.
No, because we didn't change the damage. So the Lightning Gun did get more powerful, as a lot of people noticed around early access. And there was 2 different changes that were made. But basically, the way we detected how we were hitting the enemy was changed, so that there was a little bit of a client-side information involved, so that we could kind of smooth out the detection. But the big difference was that the Lightning Gun was kind of doing a projectile trace, where it was firing out invisible projectiles to detect whether it hit the enemy. And now we're going back to the traditional Quake style of doing a linear trace, which is way more effective.
Yes.
So basically, in the past, you had lower railgun lightning accuracies because some of your hits may have been missing according to the server. So we fixed that.
Got it. All right, here we go. This one's definitely for you from read out loud. Malka FPS.
Malka FPS, Quake champions. Will you guys will you please give Adam a nice vacation after release? No, the Russians need it more, but with games as a service we never ship, we are in constant ship mode.
Yeah, yes.
We are in constant ship mode. I think vacations would be good. We should take turns.
Well, we could. Yes. You're out. He's off to Russia tomorrow, folks.
That's not a vacation.
It's fun. No, Adam does not get a vacation. You know, until all the network issues are fixed. No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. Doomer CS wants to know more about the data centers. You know, again, like I mentioned that we're constantly looking at data centers around the world and where our population is. Okay, I'll answer this one from Drunky. Can you please confirm that we will be getting Orb at some point? Someone else asked about Hunter. So I can stop begging for Orb every time you have these Ask Me Anything. So we love Orb. He is one of our fan favorites. So there's definitely opinions about Orb.
Yeah.
I think it's the sound effect that really kills it for me.
Well, gosh, there's no way we could do the Quake 3 sound effect. That is so terrible.
It is so bad. It is so bad.
You know, no one played Orb unless you're trying to troll everyone else on the server.
Yes.
So, but Orb is a great character.
He is a great
character.
He's
super unique. I mean, what other game has an eyeball running around on arms? There isn't one. Yes. Maybe it's for a good reason.
Maybe it's for, I don't know.
But I think it's more important to have really unique characters that other people don't have. And that was a big positive of Quake 3, that the characters of the champions were so different. So I like the idea of Orb. And I know what I'd want to do with them.
Yes, I like the idea of Hunter. You know, so there was another question that someone sent me on my Instagram, is that we, you know, in the Sorlag lore, we mentioned Hunter.
Yeah, but so you shouldn't infer too much.
Hunter.
Because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lore that connects the characters together, and in Quake 3 there was some of that existing like ties, like between Sorlag and Hunter. Obviously, Sorlag, you know, the skull was on Hunter's head as a headdress, so. You know, the lore thing already existed, so it's not like the lore being brought up is a obvious hint that we're going to have her.
Okay, all right.
Well, no, I mean, I'm open for having a lot of champions. I want way more champions than we'll probably get. Hunter would be a good one.
I'm a big Hunter fan. So. Yes. We have to figure out what her active ability is. Maybe in our next stream we can have people send in what they want her active ability to be.
Sounds good.
That would be fun. All right, so we are kind of running out of time here. Oh, here we go. How about seasonal content? When can we expect some seasonal content? Well, there's no seasons right now, but yes, so one of the things that is on our roadmap moving forward is some seasonal content. We're also looking at, you know, are there game modes that could be fun around seasons? You know, as mentioned before, this is a game as a service. Even though we are in early access and we're focusing on making sure the game is as solid as it can be and adding the features that we need to push us out of early access, you know, we are also mapping out the road ahead of us. Actually, we have it mapped out for years. And, you know, we definitely know that seasonal content is really enjoyable for people. We also know that you know, different kind of game modes is enjoyable for people. So it's definitely something that we have on our list.
Yeah, we're working on that, but there's so much content you have to make that we almost have to plan out for like next year's seasons rather than the immediate future, because you can't just come in next month and do everything. You know, we need to make a lot of stuff to do like a really good job with that.
Yes. Seed Voidstar wants to know about Instajib.
Instajib? That's a mode where you usually fire a railgun or some other weapon, and you hit them once and they jib.
Yes,
I hope that answers everything.
Yes. I like Instajib.
Yeah, I mean, Instajib is great fun just when you want to hop in with some friends and just, you know, shoot and blow people up.
Yes. So we were asked about Linux or Mac support. Wow, you're laughing. I didn't even finish reading the question and you're already laughing.
I'm laughing how quickly you left Instajib.
Because it's instantly over. That's the whole point.
Okay.
Kill and you move on. Yes, to talk about Mac support and Linux. You know, I know historically, you know, we have had Linux versions. You know, but currently it's not really on our roadmap. But because our focus is get through early access, map out this content, and, you know, make the best game possible. All right, I think we have time for 2 more questions. You want to talk about some of the disconnection issues? Second one from the top.
I don't know. I mean, disconnect issues, I'm not sure what to address because, again, that's one of those things where it's like we have symptoms of different problems. And so a lot of that, we're just like gathering log data to try to, track down the issues and resolve them individually. Yeah.
So if you find that you are getting disconnected for some reason, if it happens on a regular basis, that's great information to know. Keep track of your upward bandwidth. Track your ping. Your ISP. There may be a time when you're just losing connection to your ISP, and then the game just says, "Well, he's offline." So, again, report those issues. Try to gather as much information on your system as possible. All right.
I guess the only other thing to add is that a lot of that may be approved with those compression fixes we're doing for the Netcode next month, because a lot of that might just be, you're failing to get a heartbeat out to our backend, and so it lost track of you, doesn't think you're connected anymore. So.
All right. So the last question really is about taunts. They want to know. Actually, you know what? Well, no, we'll stick with taunts. So the question is are we going to have gestures and taunts, and when's that coming?
Yeah, we're starting to test them, and in the weeks ahead is when we first get them in our internal builds. We start to test them. So right now we've recorded the animations, and have the animators working on. They spent months making all these taunts, but we haven't had them in game yet. Yes. So we're about to get them in game so that we can experience them, and then we'll figure out when we can roll it out. Yeah. But we've had taunts forever.
Yes. We have some good ones too, especially since the characters have so much personality and our animators are so good. We should have some pretty fun taunts. So so that wraps this up for us. A couple things to mention. If you're not in early access, now's the best time to do it. The Champion Pack is cheaper now than it will be in the future. We have an update that will come out next week. We have a larger update that will come out next month that hopefully can address a number of issues. Continue to play, post questions and comments on our forums. We have dedicated people looking through there. We are actively working on addressing as many issues as we can. Like I said, it's a complex game. It's a really fun game. It's been really solid for us, and we just want to make it as good as we can, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.